how could we have made today better? We'll dive into that question, this question, just after the amazing new intro. The Day One Journey, episode 59. Cha-ching. Yeah, last episode, if you remember, we asked this question at night. This is the daily routine and the nightly routine. So we suggested asking this question, how could we have made today better? We suggested asking this question just before you go to sleep. Yeah, in today's episode, or in the next episode, I'll present you an example, specific person example of mine, that I will go through that, answering that question with a few specific tips. And why do I put a whole episode about that? Because that's a tricky question. Why is that a tricky question? Because when you ask yourself, how could I have made this day better? You might start a cycle of self-negative talk, which goes like this. I should have done this today, and then I should have done this today, and then you might feel bad about that day, that specific day. Everyone has this self-negative talk, but I want to explain you why the reason, this is a tricky question, it is the same reason that makes this question so powerful and so empowering. The short answer to that, because it deals with change. Change is hard, change is difficult, change is challenging. You see, when you ask yourself that question, how could I have made today better? You think about the stuff that you want to change, right? The stuff that you want to change might be difficult to think about, and you might be judgmental about yourself. That's the tricky part of that question. But yet again, that's exactly the part that makes it so powerful. Why? Because if you do change this stuff that bother you, imagine how your life can be amazing. Imagine that. So probably in the next episode, I will share with you a specific example, how to deal with that question, how to deal with this question, so we won't get into that spiral, the spiral of this self-negative talk. And just in this episode, I will tell you how I approach that question. First thing I'm doing, again, the question is, how could I have made today better? First thing, I just see today as a movie. I just take a hat, a detective hat. You see that? There's a detective hat. There, I go to my pocket. I go to my boy, and you see that? That's a magnifying glass here. Pretty big, I know. So I take this magnifying glass and I just watch the day. Remember, we are in the evening. I watch the day that have passed and I inspect that. Marcus, the inspector. Exactly. I watch this day as an inspector. This is the first thing I'm doing. And then guess what? Then I watch the same day. But just right now, I'm doing that with the changes that I want. I just watch it as a movie. I'm not being judgmental. I'm floating above me and see everything that happens. So this is the general idea. You can play with it today. Tomorrow I will give you a personal example how I did it, just that exercise yesterday. Sounds good or good? You decide. I think it's a good idea for you to walk through an example. I think it might make things much more clear and visible for you. So back to you. Until tomorrow, I want you to try that exercise. You know what? Just do the first part, just the first part. Baby steps. Remember, baby steps. Small steps. But you're still making progress. So, try right now, this morning, if you see this video in the morning, think about yesterday, just watch it as the observer with a magnifying glass. Watch that day. That's it, just the first part. Practicing, watching, walking through that day without changing anything. That's the exercise. And if you see this video at night, think about this day and watch this day with a magnifying glass. Tomorrow I show you how to do the first part and the second part with a specific example. Whoa! So until tomorrow, have an amazing, even if it's a rainy day, have an amazing day 1.